I'm Trish Hennessy, displaced Saskatchewan farm kid, now living in Toronto. But no matter where I live, my prairie roots keep showing. I grew up in a big farm family. My parents raised 9 kids, and mostly we lived off the land. We grew our own vegetables in a garden the size of, well, almost this room. We raised our own cattle. We had a dam on our ranch, and so we even raised our own rainbow trout. And during the lean years, when we couldn't afford a trip to the dentist or new shoes, being able to grow our own food helped made us more resilient. Knowing our neighbors were there to help us out, and we were there to help them out, also made our community more resilient too. It helped us all weather drought, flooding, or any number of disasters that could befall any given year's crop. It's different in the city, though. If your job doesn't pay enough to make ends meet, it's hard to be resilient. Raising a cow in the city would be problematic. It's hard enough to find a parking spot for your car. And there's very little for your city neighbor to do if you're not able to secure enough decent paying work hours to cover this month's bills, except as a good neighbor, you could champion the idea of a living wage as the new floor for low-wage workers. Saskatchewan's minimum wage is $10.50 an hour. And like everywhere else in Canada, that minimum wage still falls short of what a living wage should be. It still keeps a full-time, full-year worker working among the working poor. So what if we made sure that every line of work allowed workers to be more resilient? Well, one key to resilience is to earn a living wage. Now, Upstream, a Saskatoon think tank, is working with the local United Way on a report about the living wage in this city. And the upshot of it is this: $16.70 an hour. That's how much 2 working parents raising 2 kids in the city of Saskatoon would each need to make in order to earn a living wage. Now, in every community that's calculated a living wage anywhere in Canada, the minimum wage, the provincially mandated minimum wage, falls short. A living wage is different from the minimum wage. A living wage isn't arbitrary. It actually reflects the actual cost of living in your community. So, for instance, in Saskatoon, the biggest chunk of a family's costs goes to pay for housing costs. And the childcare is the second biggest cost, followed by the cost of food. More than 1 million workers in Canada earn the minimum wage, work for a minimum wage, and they are part of Canada's working poor. And things get real in a hurry. 25% of all low-income Canadians under the age of 65 rely on a working poor individual to be the main breadwinner in their household. That's why there is a growing wave of communities trying to change the conversation about low-paying work, trying to talk about a living wage. Now, in some communities, employers are actually driving that conversation. There are living wage employers voluntarily stepping up to the plate to raise a higher standard. In BC, the city of Westminster was the first municipality in all of Canada to become a living wage employer. Now, the city of Vancouver is following suit, and in the city of Toronto, where I now live, they've included a living wage policy within their interim poverty reduction strategy. In Ontario, there are now 23 municipalities working on local living wage initiatives. The Ontario Living Wage Network expects it'll have 100 living wage employers signed up within its first year of existence alone. And employers ranging from credit unions, metal fabricators, local restaurants, even a chamber of commerce has signed up to be a living wage employer. And they're out there championing a living wage. Now, paying a living wage is about recognizing your community is only as resilient as the people working within it. And there's an economic case for the living wage as well. Because you know what low-wage workers do when they get a raise in their paycheck? They spend that money locally, helping the local economy to be more resilient too. Then there are the benefits for the employer, and the classic case is Walmart versus Costco. Costco pays its workers something more akin to a living wage than does Walmart. Costco also provides better vacation, better benefits, better pension packages. And so which retailer do you think does better? Well, Costco actually has lower staff turnover. It saves money on training and hiring because workers are less likely to jump to the next first best job offer. Economists actually call this an efficiency wage. Now tonight, when the time is up for us to leave this place and the lights go up or go down, and we all head home, hopefully to a nice, warm, cozy bed, there's an army of people who will come in and turn this venue around for the next day's event. Someone will clean up this theater and wash the floors and tackle the washrooms. And in buildings throughout the city and all across Canada, there are janitors and security guards and technicians and waitresses and parking attendants quietly going about their work, possibly not earning a living wage. You may pass by some of them in the course of your day. They might serve you your morning coffee tomorrow. And the next time you pass the janitor in your office building, you might wonder, is he paid a living wage? Does he make enough to make ends meet for his family? A living wage. It's about building a sense of resilience into every job in Canada. It humanizes the discussion about the inadequacy of the legislated minimum wage. It's a standing invitation for employers to lead the way and a standing ovation for those who do. It holds a quiet, respectable dignity to it. And as workers, it gives us hope. Hope that we can weather any storm, whether or not you have a cow in your backyard. Thank you.